Trish Robichaud here from MS Relief on Choose Joy TV, and we're here today to do another episode of Weight Loss for Wellness. And I'm here with Dawn Silverstein, my favorite coach in the world. And hey, Dawn. Hey, Dawn.
Hey.
How was your week?
Awesome. How's yours?
Good. I had a really crappy week, and I'm going to tell you all about it.
Can't wait to
tell
hear
you
about
all
it.
about it. Yes.
Okay.
Because you know what? The issues I had this week, I have no doubt that there are many women out there that have similar issues.
Mm-hmm.
And the theme for the week was the big D. What do you think
Depression?
the big D? Yes. Huge, really huge this week. It, even though I had a complete hysterectomy 2 years ago, it still felt like it was PMS. I don't know if you know what I mean, but when I feel like crying at the drop of the hat for almost virtually no reason, like there might have been a trigger, but it doesn't. The trigger doesn't justify the reaction.
Right.
You know?
There's an overreaction.
Yeah, there's the bawling my bloody head off for like hours at a time thing. That my awareness that I got this week was around, honestly, that is what's happened to me this week, the bout of depression that I've had, is very typical of the emotional events that would throw me off the track in the past. You know how I explained to you before, I could go months where I'm eating healthy and doing the right things, making healthy choices, and then something would happen that would throw me off track. Well, this week was a perfect example.
So what happened with the food in conjunction with the depression?
I had a couple binge days. I clearly knew they were binge days. But I should say, yes, there were definite binges this week. But you know what? The worst issue, the most challenging issue for me this past week is while I was in that emotional state, I had to have a cigarette. And which is crazy because I actually went a whole month without smoking. But last weekend I bought a package. And
so what did the cigarette do for you in that moment?
Okay, and I was seriously paying attention to all this. Okay. When I'm in that state, that emotional state, the muscles in my stomach are like rock hard, and they hurt. There's pressure there. I feel like I swallowed a boulder. And like everything feels tight in there, like it's at its max for expansion, you know. So this feeling that I get in this area is just so uncomfortable. And when I have a cigarette, well, a cigarette is like it's sedating, right? So it would help me relax. And so that it wouldn't, I mean, the cigarettes didn't make the rock go away, but that made it a little more tolerable. And so, what day was it? Saturday I bought the package. And I might have had 2 on Saturday. Sunday I smoked most of the package. And then Monday there was 2 left and I gave it to Ernest. And have actually bummed a couple cigarettes off him since then. It's gotten a little easier because the last couple of days I started taking some clonazepam, which is something I keep in the house for my anxiety when it kicks in. And that helped.
Okay.
So I'm going to stay on the one a day on clonazepam until I feel like this is gone, because it's
Okay.
not gone yet. Like, I could
Right.
burst into tears just like that
Sure.
right now.
Well, it's interesting timing actually that you've experienced that this week, and I'm sorry that you've experienced that this week. But one of the things I wanted to start talking to you about was the connection between food and your mood. I brought that up a little bit last time about the energetics of food and how what you eat plays a part in how you feel emotionally. So is that something that you think you're ready to start talking about?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Okay.
There was, and I remember you mentioning that, and I remember, I don't know if it was something you mentioned to me or if it was something you sent me that I read, and it was around certain foods causing different emotional responses.
Right.
Like just the biology of that food.
Right.
Okay, and so that I'm definitely interested in. I would like some happy food.
Yes. and you know, the thing is, we already know that this is true, because if you eat a certain food, like a sugary food, you know you're going to feel a certain way, even if it's short-lived, right? You know, there's just a chemical reaction to having a lot of sugar or something that triggers a happy memory or something like that. Yeah. So you already understand that there's, you know, we are an integrated being. We're not just a physical body that consumes energy in the form of food, and then we have this separate emotional person. I mean, it's all together. It all blends together. So I am going to talk to you about that. But first, I wanted to hear about the NutriBullet, because they are connected. Those two things are going to go together. So did you get your NutriBullet?
I got it yesterday. Yay!
Yay!
It came in the mail. Yeah, it came by courier yesterday.
And isn't it so pretty? Yeah.
Opened it up, and it's so pretty. Yeah. Yeah. And the first thing I noticed is there's no power button, so I guess you just push down.
Yes.
And it locks. Yeah.
Yeah, you push down, you turn it a little bit, and the motor is activated when you turn it.
I see. Anyway, so last night I went grocery shopping.
Great.
After the Magic Bullet came in, and I bought kale.
Whoa!
And I bought loads of romaine, and
nice.
I bought a bag of unsalted, unroasted almonds. I bought some natural sunflower seeds, and I bought some natural pumpkin seeds.
Great.
And I already have tons of fruit in the house. I've got watermelon and apples and oranges, and some nectarines. And I also keep frozen fruit in, like, bagged frozen fruit in the freezer. Yeah. And I also, one thing that I do with my protein shakes that I don't know whether it'll have a place with these Magic Bullet drinks or not, but you know the little individual yogurt cups?
Mm-hmm.
I freeze those.
Oh.
And then I pop them into my protein shakes.
Oh, okay. So it makes it like a frosty.
Yeah. Yeah, almost like a milkshake.
Like a milkshake.
So
that's fine.
Hopefully hopefully I have enough ingredients. And I did start reading through the books, and there's an awesome the one book in there talks about the power food has on your circulatory system, on your immune system, on your digestive system, and there's clearly there appears from what I've scanned so far is there's a specific type, different foods for each of those systems, right?
That's exactly what we're talking about, right? That's why that ties into also with your mood. Now, do you think that you know why this depression got triggered, or is it just something that comes up from time to time?
No, I think, because I've tried to, there was no specific cause. There was no specific event.
Right.
I think
just so for tracking purposes. I'm sorry, go ahead.
for those of us who live with clinical depression, sometimes we can figure out what our trigger is, and sometimes we never will.
Right.
Same with an MS relapse. Sometimes you can figure out where that comes from, and other times you can't.
Right. So for your own tracking purposes, though, to, this experiment of doing the green juices and adding these foods that we're going to talk about as far as how it affects your mood, we're just going to have to go by how you feel, because you can't say like, well, every 6 to 8 weeks this happens. This will be more just anecdotal, like on a general, yes, my energy felt better, yes, I felt more focused. So I would want you to track somewhat, sort of like we did the appetite awareness, just to have a sense of, yes, that particular green drink had this beneficial effect on me.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Right, or I felt nothing.
If I don't document it, at least initially, I'm not going to make a connection between the effect, the cause and the effect.
Exactly,
right? Okay.
Because then moving forward, if you feeling, X, then you can look back and say, oh, when I felt this way before and I had this particular food, it helped. So that's one of the goals I have for you, is that you start making that connection. Like for myself, I know if I am feeling blue about something, there are foods that I have to avoid because it's just going to pull me deeper into the pit. So there are foods that I want that are give me a better type, not a crazy energy, but just a more focused, calmer energy. So those are, and you're going to figure that out. These are things that you're going to figure out for yourself as well. And this goes back to the how is this serving me? You've already been through this process with the baked goods. How is this serving me? The same idea when you're feeling a certain way, or your physical energy is low, and you want to feel differently. It's still that same question: how is what I'm about to consume serving me? So that's where we're going to go now with the food. Okay.
Just out of curiosity,
sure.
I would love for you to share with me and our viewers some of the learnings that you have accomplished in terms of making the connection between a particular food and its causation in your moods. Give me
if I have, here's a really simple one. If I have a heavy carbohydrate breakfast, if I have French toast or pancakes or a muffin or something like that for breakfast, I never get out from underneath it. My energy is terrible. It doesn't matter what I eat for the rest of the day. I'll have a headache. And when that happens, when I start going down that road of the headache you can't get away from, my MS symptoms become very evident. So I'll have a tremor. My speech will sort of dissolve a little bit. My swallowing problem crops up. It's just, and then I have to lie down. It just doesn't work. I have to have a lot of protein first thing in the morning. Not all protein, but primarily protein. So I'll have yogurt, a Greek yogurt, and I'll have fruit.
Right.
But I also found that I can't do too many days in a row of a sweet breakfast. So I have to make sure that I mix it up with a savory breakfast as well. So I'll do eggs with spinach and, a lot of herbs. And so it's a very strong flavor in the morning, but I do better with that than if I have too many days in a row of fruit in the morning.
Gotcha.
So, and I get brain fog, if I do pancakes or something like that, I just have brain fog and I can't, and then I'm frustrated, which then leads me to being, annoyed, and it's just so
short-tempered,
exactly,
moody,
and uninspired, and then, you know, you go down that road of nothing is working and it's all, you know,
Yeah.
it's just a big pity party at that point.
I have a client who invented a word. Her name is Carol. She invented this word called awfulizing.
Awfulizing, yes.
Yes, and when she's in that mood, she awfulizes everything.
That's so
You know, like
funny.
everything is the worst case scenario. Yeah.
Wow.
It's just so perfect. She awfulizes things.
Oh, I totally understand.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to say something to someone. So here's two things that are going to go on. With your NutriBullet, you're going to start doing these green juices, not as a meal replacement. You know, and I don't care, go through that book and see whatever appeals to you. But you basically start with like a spinach or kale or the romaine, and then you add to whatever is appealing to you, fruit or herbs and spices and things like that. That's like a between meal or late afternoon kind of energy shot. So one that I like is carrot, apple, and fresh ginger, and actually a whole lemon. Sounds crazy, but that NutriBullet just like pulverizes everything. So
Okay,
you
so
just cut up a lemon. I think the recipe is actually in the book, but for people who are just listening and are interested, I just take like 2 carrots, chop them up, throw them in there.
So 2, not baby carrots, full size.
No, full carrots. Yep.
Okay.
Or you know, depends how big the carrot is, but yeah, just
2 carrots, 1 lemon. How many
half
apples?
an apple, just half of an apple.
Half.
And fresh ginger, like a knob, like you know, like this big, a knob of fresh ginger.
So
and
like about the size of a large grape.
Yes, I'd say, because it's pretty spicy. And you know, water. Don't put too much water in those things because mine leaked a little bit. But just, you know, you'll figure that part out. But you just blend away, and so you have this carrot juice. So I'll drink that at like 3 in the afternoon, and it's so much better than a cup of coffee. Way better. The energy is way better than, and it's actually like you feel the energy from the inside out because of the ginger. You're just like, whoa, it's sort of like on fire kind of thing that goes on. But I like that. So it doesn't feel, there's nothing jittery about it. There's nothing false about the energy. You just feel like you were flooded with nutrition, you know, and it's...
So it's not like when I feel like I'm a little bit manic because I drank a Diet Coke.
Exactly.
Not
exactly.
like that at all.
There's not a buzz attached to it. There's not a like scrape me off the wall kind of thing that goes on, because it's really just your body just gets flooded with nutrients. So I love that.
Something just now like reminded me when you said that about getting flooded with nutrients. Something I read in the in some of what I've read about the NutriBullet, it talks about how when we do juicing and blending of any kind, we're mixing ingredients, but the magic bullet breaks the ingredients down at the cellular level.
At the cellular level, right?
And like it said, like for example, like flax seeds. Okay, flax seeds are great for you, but they're way better if you can actually break open the flax seeds.
Exactly, right. Because you can never chew your food enough. You can't chew your food enough to pull out what you're going to extract when it's pulverized for you.
And actually what it said is that the nutritional value is like 3 to 4 times that if you were just to eat it without pulverizing it, without that whole cellular.
And you know, there's a theory that there's, you know, energetics of food, and like you sort of like releasing the superpower of the food basically. So you know, I'm not here to argue that theory or not. I just know for myself that I feel great So let's talk about a little bit about the actual foods, never mind the green drinks that you're going to try. And, you know, like, just make it, it's like a drink party. I don't know, make some for Ernest, make some for whoever else is in your house, like different kinds. Is he interested?
He's curious. He's curious.
Yeah.
Curious. I'm not so sure that he's curious about trying the products I make.
Right.
So much as he's curious to see how this NutriBullet thing works.
Right. Well, if you want to start off slow, don't give him anything green. Just like go for the carrot thing first, because the green drinks they're a little off-putting to look at, but they taste great. So. Now the other aspect of food and mood and things like that is, and I do have a chart that I'm going to email to you, because this is born out of the 5 Chinese elements, and that every food has a certain energy attached to it, so that if you want to if you want to raise or lower a certain energy in your body, that there's a corresponding food to either raise or lower it. So, for example, if your energy has a lot of heat, then clearly you want something cooling. You know, it's like a yin and yang type thing. So you want balance. So in order to balance things out, you need to consume the food that has the energy that will pull down that energy you're trying to level out. So, and it's very involved, and can get very complicated, but this chart really just breaks it down. So, for example, I know we're going to keep it simple. So, you were feeling depressed this week, right? You're feeling sad and depressed. Were you lethargic?
I just fake it well.
No, I understand. Does it affect like your thinking and clear thinking and not clear thinking, and do you feel like all detached and stuff like that? Okay. So
all
what you want to feel, so instead you want to feel decisive and organized and energized and more compassionate and relieved, and you want the cloud to lift, right? That's what you're going for. So the really simple basic stuff that I would like you to try to eat now for the rest, the next week, is quinoa. Did you try quinoa yet?
I haven't yet. I noticed it in a few of the recipes, because I noticed I have 2 recipe books that came with it. One is just drinks mostly, and the other one is like how to make pastes, like how to make dips, how to make sauces, how to
soups,
make soup,
and salads, right?
And soaps and salads. And the one chapter that really intrigued me was making wraps. I love
good.
Wraps.
Okay. Well,
and there was a number with the quinoa.
Good. Quinoa, super simple to make. It's just like rice. It's a 2-to-1 ratio of water to seed. Quinoa is actually a seed. So it's very light and fluffy, and it mixes in great with other food. So like I'll make it as a side dish, but if I do like roasted vegetables or something, I just really dump the quinoa in there because it's very fine. It kind of like flies around. So
and it'll just take on the flavor of whatever you
and it just sticks to whatever you're eating. But like if you try to eat it on a fork, it can get a little flies around and stuff. It's kind of weird.
You'll be chasing it across the table.
A little bit. Well, I cook it with vegetable broth instead of water, and it tastes great. I love it. So quinoa, definitely. Lentils. Do you eat lentils?
I'm not even sure what lentils are. Is that a special
they're a legume.
Particular bean, or they're
yes.
That covers all of?
No. It's definitely a legume. So it's like, and they come in. There are different types of lentils, but they're tiny.
I like
and
kidney beans.
Right,
kidney
lentils
beans,
are. No. Beans are beans. Beans are legumes. Lentil is a type of legume.
Okay.
So lentils tend to be tiny and flat. They're pretty small. So like lentil soup is how most people know how to eat that. But I like red lentils, and they look like dried split peas. You know what those packages look like?
Yeah.
That's what they look like.
Yeah.
But lentils are they're high in protein, like a bean, and they're easy to digest, and they're just they're good for energy. So quinoa and lentils would be like the starchy part of a meal, you know, the carb part of the meal. Definitely you would want to be eating fish. Fish has a very positive effect on the brain. Definitely has a good effect on the brain. You're not a fish fan?
No, I'm not a fish fan. I will eat tuna out of a can.
Okay. That's fine. So eat tuna out of a can. Mix it in with your salad.
But I know people have told me many times that if you buy good quality fish, it doesn't taste fishy.
That's true. Hasn't happened for you yet.
I find that really hard to believe.
You're a non-believer.
Yeah, that's like expecting me to say, yes, it's rattlesnake, but it tastes like chicken.
Yeah. Just think of it as chicken. That's funny. Okay. All right. Well, can you do the tuna?
Yes.
Okay. So, you can do that. Now, the seasonings that you want are onions, ginger, and scallions. So you really could make a very tasty tuna salad, especially, you know.
Scallions are like green onions, right?
Yes.
They're the little tiny with long green.
Looks like grass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But they're a little milder than eating an onion.
Yeah. Yeah. Green onions. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
green
how
onions.
I know what they're called. Yeah. Scallions.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't have them this week, that's fine.
And what's with the ginger?
Ginger is well, it does a lot of things actually, and it's like it's an antimicrobial. I'm getting the word wrong. It's healing. It's very healing to the body, and it's very soothing to the digestion. And if you've got like a stagnant organ, that can be creating some depression. So it helps to clear out different energies from the organs. It's also very warming, which is very soothing, and it gives you a burst of energy.
You
know, like you used to drink ginger ale when you were a kid. If you had an upset stomach, you'd have ginger ale, right? Yeah.
You're giving me an idea. That awful feeling I have in my stomach when my depression is at a peak, I wonder if ginger would help that feeling in my stomach.
I am very interested to see how that goes. Definitely. Yeah, I find having something with fresh ginger elevates my mood. So for whatever reason, like clearly you're holding a lot of tension in the middle of your body when you're depressed, that's affecting your digestion. It has to. It's affecting your spleen, it's affecting your liver, it's affecting your stomach. So ginger just sort of like massages it all and makes it better. So that whole ginger ale for a stomach ache is just sort of like a ring down of Asian medicine, knowing that ginger is good for those organs. So yeah, even if it's ginger tea, because you mentioned like you like herbal tea, you've been enjoying some herbal tea. There are ginger tea. You can just steep the fresh ginger in water, like to steep it like you're making tea, and strain it, and maybe add a little bit of. You could have a little honey or something. Can you have honey? A little bit of honey, okay. And that is great for an upset stomach. Really, really good. And they also sell ginger tea bags. You know, you don't have to get all that complicated about it. But I personally just really like ginger for that reason. And it also just makes me feel a little bit more peppy.
I will definitely experiment with the ginger.
Yeah.
Because this week, this emotional place I've been in, this is a perfect example of how in the past my healthy choices have been derailed.
Right.
by an episode such as this.
Right.
And it can take me a long time to
Right.
get back to the healthy choices again.
Okay.
Afterwards.
Well, the good news is, like, now you have this new tool, so let's see how it affects that.
Yeah.
Did the depression keep you from walking? Did
No,
you
but
go
the
outside?
rain did.
It was raining. Oh.
Yeah, most of this week we had rain just about every day. Not all day long, but when I would normally go,
yeah,
it was raining.
It was raining.
I think I only went twice since I.
Do you think that had that lack of exercise had an effect on the depression as well?
It's possible.
Yeah.
It's possible. Analyzing, like the whole analyzing how I feel when I eat, that has been a learning curve, and I'm getting pretty good about it. But it's analyzing how I feel when I'm depressed, and that is so new to me, Dawn.
Okay.
This is, you know, this week I was still in stuffing and smoking mode with it, you know, trying to mask it, right? Instead of, you know,
you had no other tools.
No,
that's the thing. You didn't have any other tools at your disposal. Now you do. Now you have something different to try. So
yeah, the ginger sounds interesting.
Good.
Because I know that, when I was a kid, my grandmother always gave me flat ginger ale when I wasn't feeling good. And I have I've known for years that ginger is a natural anti-nauseant.
Yes.
So maybe that might help with that.
Okay.
You know, between the ginger and the clonazepam. Well, so, I mean, obviously we want to get to a place where I don't need to use pharmaceuticals to alter my mood.
Well, but here's the thing. Even if it's baby steps and they're tools. That's the tool that you already had in your toolbox. We're going to add to it so that you have other things to go to first to see if that helps. And if they do, great. And if they don't, you still know that you have those other tools. But what we'd like is to move you away from falling back on binging and smoking as a coping mechanism, because that's not helping you reach your goals. That's bottom line. So
absolutely.
How are you fixed for the rest of the day? Do you feel like you have time to try making a juice today?
Absolutely, that's on the agenda. I'm currently actually on a week of holidays, so I've had a lot more time to do, which feels so good, to do some stuff around the house. I have been doing some puttering around the house.
Good.
Well, that's because of the weight loss, because I wasn't capable of that before.
Right.
You know, doing things that I cannot get over. How much more physically able I've been. You know, that's awesome.
That's exciting.
Really awesome. Yeah. Very exciting. Very.
Well, so do you feel like there was there anything good that went on this week?
I got my magic bullet.
Yeah, woohoo!
I got my NutriBullet. That was.
You got your NutriBullet.
Good.
Good.
And then I guess I have to say that even though I've been in about a depression, my awareness with the depression, I think, has been higher than it usually is.
Okay.
I think the high level of awareness that I was building with the appetite awareness has, it's, not 100% working for the depression, but it's better than it usually is.
That's good.
Usually when I have about a depression, which I call my I just don't give a shit days, because that's exactly how I feel.
Pretty much,
I have complete apathy, right? Complete apathy, no emotion around anything except for emotional pain. You know, like no, because I can very easily go to oh, this is awful, it's the end of the world, you know,
Right.
and
Right.
just, it's crazy. It's crazy the
Yeah.
irrational stuff that goes through your brain when you're in that space.
Mm.
But all the while that was happening this week, I was still feeling okay about, I was okay with my eating. Even though I did some binging this week, I didn't beat myself up about it. And like
Good.
the next meal, I would go back to the healthy choices
That's
instead of
great.
staying stuck in the all
Right.
or nothing, you know, which
Right.
is a pattern of mine. Like,
Sure.
if I'm going to binge now, I may as well be binging for 3 days, you know?
That's right.
No, I wasn't there at all.
Good.
I've been
Well,
eating
you know,
a lot of fruit this week.
Good. I asked you this question maybe a week or two ago, if you had seen the benefit of that appetite awareness exercise creep into any other part of your life, and you hadn't in that moment, but here you have.
Yes.
So that's great. I'm really, really pleased for you
Yeah.
about that.
And let's call it, it's not appetite awareness, let's call it mental health awareness.
Yes, right. It has a new
Yeah.
application.
Yes, it
That
does.
exercise just has a new application.
Yes.
So moving forward in the next week, 2 things. Do you feel like you would like another session before the week is up? Do you want to have contact again in a few days? If you feel like that support would help you stay on track? And what action steps can you take in the next week to get you back on track?
Okay. Very generous offer. I don't think so though. I think we'll be okay. I think I will be okay. I'm definitely on the. It's on its way out. Put it that way.
Good. Yep.
It's not as bad as it was 3 or 4 days ago.
Okay.
Oh, and just as a side note there, I stepped on the scale last week and I lost 3 pounds. So,
good for you.
So the weight gain that I
Yes.
had
Oh,
from the
you're below
smoking,
now.
quitting smoking, yeah, I'm below that now.
Great.
I'm 244.8.
That's
so,
amazing.
Yeah. In terms of action steps, the juicing is going to be that juicing, walking, and
for the juicing, to just note what you like and what you don't like.
right.
Don't expect to like them all. Don't.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Some things
Just
taste better than
experiment,
others.
Right?
Exactly. It's an experiment.
Yeah,
no, there's no
fun.
judgment attached to this or anything like that. This is an experiment. And it takes a little bit of tweaking on your part, you know, to determine what you like and don't like, and how much water you like, and, you know, all of that, the texture. So, yeah, it's definitely, have fun with it, you know. Torture your husband, make him drink stuff first. It's like, does this smell weird to you? You try it.
What does green taste like? The color green. Don't you want to know what the color green tastes like? Yeah, and I think one of the action items is going to be dedicating effort to becoming aware of the physical benefits of particular juices that I'm making, right? I'm not sure how quickly I'm going to fall into that pattern of being aware. I think next week is probably just going to be more about experimenting with the machine, the toy. No, not a toy.
It's a tool. It's a tool.
It's a tool. Ah, it's a toy too. But anyways, yeah, that's definitely
Right. Just the first goal is just get into the habit of using it.
yes.
You know, because if it sits on the shelf, then it is a toy.
Yeah, and it's not going in the cupboard. It's just going to stay.
No, leave it on the counter. Leave it out.
It'll be on the counter. And
right.
surprise of all surprises, yesterday I actually picked off some of the kale from the bunch, and I ate it raw, and it doesn't taste any different than lettuce.
No, it's good. Actually, I like it. I prefer it a little sautéed. You know, just a little bit of olive oil, cook it down a little bit. It's actually very sweet. I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
People make kale chips too. They roast it in the oven.
I heard that. I heard someone
They're
say
addicting. They're addicting.
Yeah, these dehydrated kale chips.
Right. Well, you can just put them in the oven with olive oil and salt, and they just, you know, roast it like you'd roast a vegetable. But they're delicious. It's ridiculous.
Cool.
So who knew?
Cool. It's funny, you know. I made, and this was probably just as a wrap up here. Funny how life comes full circle. It was about back in December sometime, maybe January. I made a list of power ingredients.
Yes.
Okay.
You see B6 on the omega-3, iodine, sulfur, B6, antioxidants. Can't see the rest. What's on the bottom?
And then the last one says 3 colors of fruit and veggies every day. 3 different colors.
Okay.
Cabbage, onions, and leeks.
Okay.
And I've been keeping this up on my desk just so that like I'm always like in awareness that I need to be growing my. Yeah, so I'm now taking an omega supplement. I now have an omega supplement that has 3, 9, and 12, or 3, 6, and 9 in it. And I'm taking a B6 supplement, and now I got kale.
Yeah, you got colors.
yes.
That's great.
Yes. So it's coming together.
Good. Great. Yeah. All right.
Definitely.
So until next week, I hope your mood lifts. I hope the sun comes out. And I wish you happy juicing.
Thank you. Happy juicing. And yeah, the sun, maybe being rainy this week, maybe that had something to do with my depression.
It doesn't help.
But anyways, yeah, it doesn't help. But anyways, thank you so much, Dawn. And
you're welcome.
You have a good week. And
Thanks.
That's it. That's a wrap for another episode of Weight Loss for Wellness on Choose Joy TV, brought to you by MS Relief. Bye-bye.
Bye.